Welcome to India Market Open. It's early Monday morning. We're gearing for the week. Last 4 days of the Feb series, guys. It's been actually a pretty solid February. One of many highs, if I can say that.
Yeah, I thought that Indian markets were solid. Then I look at what the Nikkei has done.
Just look at what China has done. How about that?
No, yeah,
you feel great about us.
4% for the last 1 week, but Nikkei is in a league of its own, right?
No stopping the Nikkei.
Yeah.
You know, I was reading a piece that actually young investors have come into the market in Japan because of what's happening in the Nikkei. So pretty much perhaps what our moment has been
for the last 3 years.
3 or 4
But
years.
here's some numbers, guys, just before we get down to the brass tags. 2023, if you thought Nifty was great, 20.1% or thereabouts, Nikkei 28%. Fabulous. Then cut down to 2024, Nifty all of 2.5%. Nikkei is a whopping 18%.
Yeah.
The Japanese
And
markets
all
have gone through the
And
roof.
all this when they're in a technical recession.
Yeah.
So this all comes in. So if you think markets are a reflection of real economy, you might want to take a step
Get another
back
thought.
and take a check of that. But yeah, Japan's on a roll. Wall Street's also not doing too badly. And India might, of course, reverse the seasonality. So Feb usually, or rather in the last 3 years, has actually been a weak month for equity markets. So far for Feb, we're up 850 points. So it could be, again, some sort of a record, guys. Not Japan, but nevertheless, we have enough to cheer about.
Absolutely. And the point that you're making about sometimes the real economy and markets don't have a dissonance, we're seeing that in the US as well. I mean, over the weekend, you had a number of statements from Fed officials, Christopher Wallen's one of them, saying that we need more data before we can decide on rate cuts. We might extend them by 2 months. You're not really seeing that dampening any spirits. So no huge gains in absolute terms, but the momentum definitely continues. Look at it this way, the S&P 500 again has hit a 5100 mark for the first time. It closed a little lower. The Dow closed at all-time highs as well in Friday trade, so the mood overall is positive. Of course, now there are two factors which the US markets are going to be tracking. One, you're going to have PCE data on Thursday. That's what the Fed tracks. That's personal consumption expenditure data. That will be important. And can NVIDIA really continue its rally? Can this entire AI boom continue? That's going to be two factors really that determine Wall Street. Quick word on the yields. The yields have come off a bit, actually, have been about 4.28 or so, considering, you know, that there is a lot of uncertainty there. Crude has come off as well. Again, if their interest rates are going to be in later, that could be a dampener for crude. There's also a very important meeting going on in Paris to try and find a solution for the Middle East crisis and the Gaza conflict. Maybe that's another reason that you've seen Brent at about $81. And last word on Asia, mixed cues, important data going to come in from China. But yes, like Niraj and Samina was saying, the story is completely the Nikkei. No stopping the Nikkei. Incredible kind of gains for an economy which has not shown any great sort of, upside. But definitely, I suppose, for investors hunting for opportunities, they have stumbled upon the Nikkei. Shanghai down about 0.5%, and so is the Hang Seng. So what direction will we go in is really the big question when it comes to Asian markets.
Nowhere.
Yeah.
Because
range bound.
Yeah, you're right. You know, Tamanna, I was looking at the numbers. So let's just putting this into numbers. I mean, we tried to put that Nifty versus Nikkei thing into perspective, 2023 to 2024. So 2024 Nifty, all of 2024, Nikkei is 17.43%. Nifty is a measly 2.17%. I mean, we talk a lot about what's happening, right? The benchmark indices have gone nowhere. In fact, for the last 2 months, it's a 2.6% range that we've been moving into. So hardly any moves there on the benchmark indices per se. I mean, 2% is nothing, right? And we're starting to see PSU stocks starting to consolidate. So from the 7th or 8th of February, they've been completely flat, and this is after a 57% uptick since October 25th. October 25th, 26th was about the time from where the markets made a bit of a U-turn and PSU started moving up. 57% has been strong till about Feb 7th or 8th. Since then, it's been very, very flat. In fact, in the last 1 or 2 weeks, the action seems to have shifted to the Adani and the Ambani Group stocks versus the PSU stocks, because the last week was also all about the kind of moves that some of the Adani Group stocks made. And to an extent, Friday, Jio Financial Services did well today. Some of the media assets of the Ambani Group could be in focus. So the focus seems to have shifted here. So that's the other interesting piece. The third thing that, at least what the data seemed to suggest, was that there was significant short build-up in the IT companies ahead of expiry. Remember, the expiry is on the last day of the month, this month, which is 29th of Feb. And ahead of the expiry, IT majors, LTTS, LTI, there was, I think, if I'm not wrong, Wipro, has seen some short build-up come in. So keen eye out for what the IT majors do in this week, particularly because of the build-up that we've seen. So that's the third pocket. And from a data perspective, but just from looking at what the indices did, real estate, big bang move the whole of last week. Can they continue doing that? So Nifty Realty was up 1% in Friday, but the whole of last week was up about 4.5%, the best performing index. The 1 month about 11% gains. So Nifty Realty comes in focus. And you know, guys, small cap chemical stocks. We were talking to Mihir Vora the other day about chemicals, etc. I was looking at some data. The 5-day move for some of the small cap, tiny tune chemical names. Look at that list. Make Money Organics 19%, Yasho Industries 23%. Vipul Organics 8.5%, Deepak Fertilizers 5%, Fairchem 8%. So the tiny tune chemical stocks.
Archean Chemical also to that.
Archean Chemicals, yeah. I mean, I'm sure I've missed the names.
Too, yeah?
Yeah, so the larger ones are flattish, Samina and Tamanna, but the smaller ones are making a move, so could be an interesting pocket to monitor this week.
You know, very quickly, and I want to add to that Japan story, because I know the biggest concern or the biggest growl with India has been that we are an expensive market. You look at Japanese valuations, their price to book is at 1.37, and the record high for Japanese stocks was at 4.72 in 1989. So that just gives you a sense that despite such a strong up move in 2023 and in Jan 2024, there is further more upside that could be expected for Japanese equity markets simply on valuation plays. So easy money, technical recession, and of course, valuations is what makes the case for Japan. Talking about India, Niraj has already highlighted everything you need to watch out for, but very important 3 data points. You've got fiscal data, GDP data, and core sector data. So those are the 3 data points that the markets will be watching out for in expiry week. I think that'll be important. Momentum, markets would like to continue with, but it may be a week of consolidation, but more than likely that the Nifty will see a pretty strong close for the Feb series. Bank Nifty remains a laggard. It's been 2 months that it's closed above levels of 46,000, and that's what you want to watch out for. Bank 47,000, pardon me. So you want to keep an eye on Bank Nifty. That's been an underperformer. The Nifty itself up 850 points for the month of Feb. Primary markets are also going to be full of activity. You've got 6 new openings and 5 listings from that. Juniper Hotels will list on 28th Feb, and GPT Healthcare will also be listed on the exchanges on the 29th of Feb. So primary markets are active, secondary markets as well, enjoying some excitement. Lots of stocks, or rather not too many stocks to watch out for this morning, but the top of the list is going to be Reliance Industries, and this comes in with reports once again where Walt Disney and RIL have signed a binding pact to merge their media operations in India. Bloomberg reported this on Sunday, stating that the media unit of Reliance and its affiliates are expected to own at least 61% in the merged entity. Remember, the Wall Street Journal earlier this month had reported that Disney had agreed to sell 60% of its India business to Viacom. The deal size is a significant one, especially on the heels of Sony and Zee deal collapsing last month. Disney has agreed to sell 60% of Viacom at a valuation of 33,000 crores. Viacom is, remember, owned by RIL. And last month it was reported that Disney and Viacom were both gearing up to fight the advertising rights in the upcoming IPL 2024. So, and also just to put this out there, RIL market cap crossed 20.72 lakh crores, Geo Financial crossed 2 lakh crores. So the whole group has been buzzing with activity in the last few days.
You know, Geo Financial, I think, is one of the most memed stocks over the weekend, because people are wondering, what is the business?
Yeah.
What is the business so far?
Treasury income.
Yeah. I mean, what is really explaining the
rally,
valuations and rally? A couple of weeks ago, it was the whole Paytm play before they came out and denied that, no, you know, Baba, we're not buying Paytm. But yeah, Geo Financials definitely the big story, and we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, you're very right. RIL is going to be back in focus.
No, but also brings TV18, Network 18 in focus. Viacom 18, if Viacom 18 is the vehicle, which is very likely to be the case, and if the valuations have come in at $3.9 billion for 61% stake, it's much lower than the earlier envisaged
so
$10 billion for the entire
group.
thing. Yeah, so if this is the number, I mean, we don't have a confirmation from the group as yet, but if this is the number at which it is done, certainly brings TV18 and Network 18. Now it's going to be a merged entity, TV18 getting merged into Network 18, so you could very well just argue that it's Network 18, which is the key driving vehicle. But if that is indeed the case, then could be, I mean, if we see a positive reaction into Network 18, TV18 today, well, could be on account of the valuations at which this deal supposedly is being struck.
So I think media as a sector could be in focus. I believe Z has set up a board as well to investigate and, of course, cool off everything negative for the sector.
Know. So, you know, yeah, they put out a press release over the weekend, and they said that now we have a board which will look at all of the quote-unquote malicious rumors about us. But I'm not sure what that board is going to do in terms of bringing confidence or negating those rumors, because if there are reports about investigations by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs or by SEBI, then those only will go away once you have clarity from
the ministry itself.
Ministry itself. So I don't know what this board of Z is going to come and say apart from what the press release is saying. So I'm not
it's
sure
probably, I think it's just commentary, right? That stock has been reacting. I mean, it's still in an F&O ban, and despite that, we've seen very sharp reactions coming in on Z pretty much every other day. So if it's up 5% on a given day, it ensures it collapses 5 to 10% the following day. But media is a sector to watch out for. There's enough and more news that will be keeping the sector quite active. Another sector that's on top recall and has been is railway stocks. The daybook indicates the Prime Minister, through video conference, will be announcing railway infra projects to the tune of 41,000 crores. Now, this could be big. Some of these counters have posted disappointing earnings, remember, and hence have been on the sell side for most part of Jan and for some part of Feb as well. This morning, though, you could see some sort of an upside on anticipation of order wins for the railway sector. Another quick one I want to mention is Kotak. This is not going to be big in terms of stock movement, but important because it's a large bank we are talking about here. Zurich Insurance is now going to buy 70% stake in Kotak Mahindra General Insurance. Why this is important and what it means, this will be done in a single tranche through the primary and secondary acquisition. Initially, remember, Zurich Bank was expected to acquire 51% and 19% within 3 years. The business is small. It only controls 0.5% of the premium market share, 0.3% of net worth, and it incurred a loss of 120 crores in FY23. This is Kotak Mahindra General Insurance I'm talking about. The SOTP, which is the valuation by sum of parts, is expected to only see a 1% upside. This is, of course, Jeffrey's note that has shared an update on what this Zurich buy of Kotak Mahindra General Insurance means for Kotak Mahindra Bank. So definitely worth a mention because it's an important notification coming from the bank. And given the size of this bank, we have to address it. May not be very large in terms of stock movement this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. There are, though, a lot of pockets of news, and one company that I want to bring on the radar is Dixon. We're going to be speaking with Atul Lal also just in a bit from now, but only because of interesting things happening in the space and with that company as well. So the latest news is that they're launching a manufacturing unit in Uttarakhand to make washing machines now, and their company unit Paget is in pact with Compal for manufacturing of mobile phones. Let's just pull up the one-year chart of Dixon Tech, and we'll hope to get more details today on what mobile phones exactly are being made. You know, a lot of focus on this company and this stock as well in terms of the new version of PLI schemes that we will be seeing, and a lot of this will come in the July budget post-elections. So we'll hope to get clarity. Look at that stock in the last 1 year, 145% on Dixon Tech. Well placed for India's push to make our own semiconductors, etc. Zydus Life is the other one. So it's received a WHO pre-qualification approval for an API formulation of something called miltefosine. Now, this is used to treat a parasitic disease called leishmaniasis. Now, it's not a huge market share. It's not a very prevalent disease, but this particular API is life-saving. There could be some positive play on Zydus Life today as well. And Sona Comstar is the other one I'll talk about. Up and down swings through the whole of the last week. But a fresh bit of news, they're going to be setting up a captive power plant, a power generating facility in Maharashtra, so clearly for their own use. An SPV is being created for this with CleanMax Enviro Energy, and they will have a solar capacity of 4 MWP. Now that stock again, 6% only in the last close. Of course, in the whole week, there has been quite a bit of fluctuation, but again, a stock really to watch out for, because as you go into that EV play, excellently positioned. This is something you were covering last week as well, Niraj.
80% of the order book, electric vehicle focus.
Yeah.
So quite firmly already in the future, if you will, is Sona Comstar. So could be an interesting one to monitor yet again after a strong move that they've had. I dare say, before I get to specific stocks, and there are 2 or 3 that I have, but I was mentioning about how the focus seems to have shifted from PSU stocks to Adani and Ambani and Jio Financial, etc. Now, Adani Enterprises could well be in focus today because Lucknow Airport is now operational. There's so much of fanfare around the airport holdings business and the demergers, etc.
Those visuals over the weekend were fabulous.
Yeah, Anand Mahindra tweeted this out, and it became the talk of town, but could be a very interesting one to monitor, because Lucknow Airport could be a large one as well, with Uttar Pradesh going through the metamorphosis that it is going through, and therefore do watch out for Adani Enterprises in the session today. As amongst the stocks to watch, something tells me that there could be an interesting move there as well, so keep an eye out. Standard disclaimer, of course, the Adani Group owns NDTV, and you're watching NDTV Profit. So whenever we talk about an Adani Group stock, just wanted to lay out the disclaimer, but keep an eye out on that group. Amongst the newsmakers, Suven Pharma could be in focus. It's said that the US FDA has completed the inspection at the Hyderabad API and formulation units. No Form 483 has been issued, so could be construed a small positive for Suven. I don't quite know the contribution of the Hyderabad units for Suven's overall top line, but no Form 483 typically be construed good news, so watch out for that one. Monal is going to join on Editor's Cut. Maybe we'll ask Monal about that as well. She tracks pharma very closely. The other one is Grasim and Asian Paints. Considering that paints were the talk of town last week, now Citi's come out with a note on Grasim with a buy and a target price of 2650. They went to the units and they said that they're confident of the ability to achieve the desired vision of becoming a number 2 player. More importantly, they're talking about pricing being a key strategy as well. And I think Sajid, when he went to the Panipat plant, spoke about how Grasim has said that they haven't given out the pricing as yet, but they would want to give 20% more area for the same can of pricing or something like that, which means effectively that pricing will be very, very strong a strategy for Grasim. And while that may not be a big trigger for Grasim upside, but it may certainly be an issue for the existing paint companies like Asian Paints, Berger, etc. And CLSA has come out and cut Asian Paints to a sell with a price target of 2425 rupees. And I was also looking at a note from Macquarie guys, which said that they are constructive on Asian Paints. Their target is 4,000, by the way. So
it's the only one with the constructive call
very
on
likely.
Asian Paints.
Yes. But the interesting thing is that they said that if Grasim moves to number 2, the thesis is that the ones to suffer will be Berger, Kansai Nerolac, and some of the others.
Of course, have to consolidate.
That's where the market share will get cannibalized first.
But do Asian Paints premium multiples come off? Because it's been the perennial buy at any price, BAP stock, right? And is that already coming under pressure? So that's one. The last one on my list, Ami Organics, Sage One Investment Advisors, Samit Vartak buying into a chemical stock makes people take notice. So keep an eye out for Ami Organics as well.
I'm going to add 2 small companies, but these are the ones that usually see the big moves. 2 to 3,000 crore market cap, so not large in nature, is Rain Industries. They posted numbers. Huge disappointment, actually. Very weak set of numbers. They posted a consolidated net loss of 107 crores versus a profit of 12.6 crores that was seen in the same quarter last year. Numbers were impacted by lower top line, impairment loss, and higher finance costs. Consolidated revenue as well from operations has declined 25% YOY to 410 crores. That is one, and the other one is for Seco. This one has actually had a good quarter. Small company, like I said, 2,500 odd crores of market cap, but they've registered a 33% growth in net profit, posted a profit of 16.3 crores. And this was on back of better other income and better top line. Revenue from operations also grew 15.7%. So these two small companies will see a gap up in early trade, I'd expect this morning.
Just a few more. Zaggle Prepaid is one of them, and Samina, you spoke with them last week as well. Again, a lot of news flow here. So they've signed a customer service agreement now with MCure Pharma for benefits and expense management. The list of very decent clientele is increasing, so Zaggle might see some positive moves on the back of that. Skipper is another one that has been in the news. It has an order of 737 crores from Power Grid. They will design, supply, construct a 765 kV transmission line project. And Max Healthcare, now they had during their quarterly conversation also talked about how they want to expand fairly aggressively. So the board has given an in-principle approval for the acquisition of a land parcel in UP. This will potentially develop a 500-bed hospital with a built-up area of 8 lakh square feet. So this is in line with their stated capacity addition plans, but definitely Max Healthcare is another one that could be on your radar today.